Hey, what's going on, everyone? I figured I'd show off some Lily tips that I think will be very useful for all Lily players to know, basically regarding some defense, neutral, and offense. So, let's just get into it. So let's start off first with defense, essentially. I know everyone's been like for looped in the corner, and it's a very frustrating part about playing Street Fighter 6 because it doesn't feel like there's many good options. However, Lily and her grappler counterparts have a very unique way of getting out of this pressure. So what I have here is essentially Ryu's going to basically do a generic throw loop. I'm going to show off. I'm going to try mashing out of the throw loop. I can't mash, it's too tight. I'm going to try just neutral jumping out. Try to punch on the back down, but he has a uppercut, freely anti-airs me. Well, Lily has another way of basically dealing with this issue. Essentially what I did there was I jump canceled my command throw in order to beat throw. To explain how this works, if we look at the inputs on the side, I'm canceling the last 4th or 5th frame of my jump in order to make my command throw immune to throw itself. In order to do this properly, do half circle, then do up, as shown previously. Then you want to delay your button press on the punch button in order to get the immunity on the command throw. This option is incredibly powerful for defense, but be warned, it's still weak to strike, obviously. Now this is to show off the strike. You kind of just get caught during your jump frames. The next thing I want to talk about is two neutral options for Lily. So obviously everyone knows about how strong Lily's EX Condor Spire is at dealing with fireballs, right? So if we see a fireball happen, we could potentially react in time to go for the fireball and punish them. And at worst, maybe they block, but we're still +2 in their face, so who cares, right? But at closer ranges, it's much harder to react in time. So here's another thing we could potentially do at this particular mid-range. Something very interesting about Lily's level 2 is that the range is increased if she has a wind stock, allowing her to basically blow through projectiles and catching people. Now if we go to a similar range without the wind stock, she won't be able to punish the fireball in the same way. As shown here, a similar range, and with wind this would have definitely punished Guile, but without wind won't be able to do the same. So still reliant on getting the wind stock, but still very useful because sometimes you're going to have to fight in this particular range. Now for a dramatic effect, I use EX Fireball. This is very hard to respond to, and this will probably require you to basically buffer your input preemptively, but still very potent tool to use in neutral. Now if you watch CEO, you'll notice that Blanca has a very powerful tool that MNRD was using, which is a jump back dive kick. There's a lot of reasons why jump back dive kick is very potent and very powerful, and it really just has to do with the fact that when you see someone jumping back, you don't expect them to immediately be able to strike you. And while Lily doesn't have something as good, we do have something very powerful. Now watch while I record the WD on the player 2. I'm gonna try to chase her down, and then suddenly she comes back down with a dive kick. Now normally you would say, oh yeah, of course Lily has Condor dive, but by the description of the command list, she should only be able to do it from neutral jump and forward jump. As you can see here, neutral and forward. How we're able to do this essentially is by car canceling our body splash when jumping backwards. When we jump backwards, we press all 3 buttons at the same time, all 3 punch buttons or our macro, and we hold down, we will get a dive kick basically. It has to be EX, otherwise it won't work. If I try just doing regular, nothing's gonna happen. But if I do EX, I get it. The reason why this is so good is because usually people will just take space when they see you jumping back, and then you'll suddenly surprise them. Not only that, but you end up just getting a lot of frame advantage to either keep your pressure going or to just get a free win charge. And now, in a previous video I made regarding Lily's potent offense, I mentioned the following. This is essentially basic tech for Lily at this point, right? You can play a little bit RPS. However, if I were to do the same thing and they did reversal timing, I will get counter hit. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, if they're not on reversal timing, you may be able to punish them accordingly. However, there's a way to get around this. Essentially, if we use EX Wind instead, we are able to actually get a valid punish by playing the RPS. Now some people might say like, oh, they're a different color, they'll see the EX Wind and they won't respond. A lot of times people react based off audio cues and visual cue and a sense of not necessarily color but motion. So they'll see a motion and they'll respond. This is a very potent thing that you could do on your offense to try to bait people into attempting a DI and then punish them back. If you really like this video, I really appreciate it if you like, drop a comment, subscribe if you want to. I also stream on Twitch where I'm playing ranked or with my friends, and I also put some videos on TikTok. This has been Peace.